entertainment,
Hey, there you are. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
into the spring coming eventually. Eventually.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's another
it's
beautiful day in paradise. And today you have not just an artist, you have an author too.
we do.
Yeah.
He immigrated to Canada, I think about 15 years ago. So we're going to talk with Tamer Saleh.
Very
I'm
nice.
sorry, I'm pronouncing that properly, Tamer.
He'll let you
And so
know in about two
Tamer
minutes.
will. I'm sorry, Tamer. Yeah, Tamer. Well, Tamer's going to join us here in a minute here, but we'll talk about. He's an abstract artist, but we're
Very
going to talk
cool.
about. He's come from the tech industry. That's where he
Oh, wow.
started. So, and he decided to leave that behind and now pick up a brush and saying, you know what, there's a passion in doing that. I mean, you really have to be passionate about um, that big a risk and the factor, like it's got to be for you, like in your
Right.
heart that you this is the right thing for you. So um and I think we're going to talk to him about his process and journey, how he's doing this, because there's so many people that want to do this and they're figuring
Right.
out, well, how do you do it, and he's sort of figured out the system. So well, I don't call it a system, but he's an abstract painter, so he's got some semblance of how you lay things down and figure things out. So he must have figured it out somehow as well, how to
There
move
you go.
from one industry into, I guess, a new life. Like it really is a new life, and it can be really stressful, but sometimes refreshing.
Right.
I can't tell me that being an IT person or in the tech industry that it isn't stressful.
That's true.
These days, everything just kind of goes up and down. Anyway, let's bring Tamer in, and
All right.
we'll talk
Tamer,
about it.
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to let you two talk about art and abstract, and I'm going to disappear, and I will see you at the end of the show with my famous three questions. So if you've never seen the show, you're SOL. If you have, you know what they
Okay,
are.
I've seen it.
See you guys later. Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening.
How's your day today? You good?
Yeah, everything's good. Thank you.
Yeah, good. No, it is exciting. You know, when I've seen your work on Artists in Canada here this last while, and I thought, I need to talk with this man.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen a lot of abstract art over the years, and I think it's we're now in our third season, but everybody has a different way of doing things. Like there's, your journey. I guess we'll talk about your journey in a second here, but it's like, where do ideas come from? And we're going to talk about that a little bit and just say how, how do we think as people, and how do we think of, I mean, you have a different background than a lot of other people, and I think, is that an influencer and kind of those things. So we'll just talk about that. And I think I'm gonna get Stephen to we have start our image up here, and we'll there we go. Just get somebody to look at some stuff right away, and then we can talk about. Can you, like, Tamer? Can you tell us a little bit about um, I guess your journey? Like, where did you start? I mean, you mentioned before, early on, and we had an early conversation that you drew as a child and a kid, and you like to paint, and then all of a sudden it disappeared, and now you're back doing it again. So it's like, can you tell us a little bit about that little, in a short way, of that little journey that you've gone through in the beginning?
yeah. So in fact, I started to paint as a child without knowing what am I painting, and it was my uncle was a writer, and he was telling me that a painting is a kind of expression and so on. So I had this idea in my background to paint, and when I paint, I feel very happy when I do any painting, regardless. And then over the years, I went into the corporate world, telecom industry for over 35 years, and I picked up again the painting 3 4 years ago, just reminding myself how it was and so on, because it's a kind of expressions and relieving stress and so on. And yeah, that's it. So I was in this world for 35 years, and last year I decided to quit all the corporate life and just go into this.
Yeah. It's a big step.
Yeah,
It's a huge step. I remember leaving the advertising business, and you know, there's the stress of that day. I mean, the amount that you produce and what you do has to work, and you're selling other people's food. So, but and you can be creative doing that. Like we talked about that in other shows as well. That there is a creative process in everything you do, whether you are an architect or a plumber or whatever. You can be creative in your business. And do you find that tech part of your world has influenced some of your work a little bit?
yeah. In fact, I think because technology, there is an evolution in technology. Like on the phones, you have the 3G and then the 4G and then the 5G. So technology is the idea started also with creativity and innovation. I mean, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, would you have imagined that you would have a mobile phone and you can talk to someone and talk to them over? I mean, a lot of things. It all came with ideas. So I believe that in my work, of course, it was managing teams and implementing projects and so on, but there was a creativity and innovation in the process and how we treat things and how we deal with things.
Right.
And yeah,
So the tech industry, I mean, that phone was no different really, I guess, than paint and a brush, and you're figuring out how to use that device. And I think it comes down to, I mean, I look at this image here and I say, yeah, this feels very tech to me. It has that chips and data look about it a little bit. Not that all your work does, but I'm just saying in this initial piece. I mean, so come down to color choices, and I mean, this one is very, um, it's a sophisticated painting.
yeah,
It has that. There's kind of a monochromatic feel about it, yet there's still again, when you have your red and black hues and gray hues, yet you have these snaps of rectangles and squares that are
yeah.
coming forward and going back, and so there's energy in this piece. And I'm looking at there's levels in the work that it kind of has to excite you. I mean, if you're going to respond to a piece. So what led you to like abstract painting more so than say portraiture or still life or anything like that?
Yeah, in fact, it's a kind of a feeling that I want to express myself, and sometimes words do not explain how we are feeling. I mean, using the brush and painting and getting out all the feelings and so on can sometimes cannot be expressed with words. So for me, honestly, I mean, painting. I mean, I'm obsessed with the idea of being bold and being layering and having different dimensions in the painting generally. So whatever I paint, and the point is, when I start, I don't know how I'm going to start. So and I never know how it will end. Sometimes it's something and then it changes. So this kind of paintings, I mean, for me, it's always looking for the internal healing into the painting. So adding the colors and then changing and then putting the layers, and it's a process, I would say. But yeah.
Can you tell your mood that you're in by um, the color palette you've chosen and the shapes that you choose? Can you go back and look at it and say, yeah, I had a good day that day, or I wasn't feeling great that day, or is it always based on your feelings, your mood that you're in when you start painting? That you said, "Gee, I just need to paint today." Is that kind of how that is?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I don't. Sometimes I stay days without painting, and sometimes I feel the urge that I need to paint because painting is. I mean, it's mixing of the colors and expressing a lot of things and doing. bold brush strokes, and then changing, and then trying to perfection it. And it's a whole process. And I mean, I would say, I mean, in all my paintings, I always feel very good doing the paintings. Even if I had struggles, painting is like talking to a friend for me. So it's like, someone that you are telling him all your problems and so on, and then you feel that you are relieved after that. So it's really an expression of feelings.
Right. Yeah. I think people can feel that. I think they look at it, they can feel whether you've got this different types of energy that is in your work. So what size is this piece initially that you're looking at here? What size are we talking about?
This is 18 by 24 inch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that a kind of a standard size that you work in, 1824? With
I mean, generally it's that, and I started to change a little bit these days. So I'm painting bigger
yeah.
ones,
Okay.
and it's a different experience as well, being limited and being on a wide one. So this one is a panel board. So it's a panel board, canvas panel board.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's a nice piece.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah,
another one that's really very different between the two. I
yeah,
mean, this one is almost calligraphic, like
yeah.
you're writing. It's almost like you're writing, and it is very. Um, it's a shocking piece, but I'm kind of looking at. Do I want? I'm trying to figure out what is my feeling when I look at this. It's. Can you explain? This is a bit more linear, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
in a sense, and it's what we're basically white on black, I guess, or a dark
yeah.
background. So it's um, when you design a piece, is that premeditated at all, like, or is it just automatic when you start? You just say, "I feel like this," and go.
Yeah, in fact, it's not premeditated. It's just how I'm feeling. And the point here, on especially on this piece, it's the strong feeling of contrast, of putting something that is really bold, that is very blunt, I would say, in expression. So I mean, it's not a writing or anything. Sometimes one of my paintings, people think it's a writing, maybe in Arabic, my language, but it's not. It's just an expression of contrast. And I mean, yeah, yeah, mostly contrast and expression of contrast in life.
Right. So do you work on a black background and put white on it? Is that, or they work both? You work black and white together.
In fact, I always start with a white canvas, and then I start to paint it. And the point here, especially on this one, is I started with white completely, and then I added the black layer, and then added the white, and then enforced the black and enforced the white to make the contrast very, I mean, very clear like that. So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So do you use a knife at all on any of the work, or just brush?
Yeah, in fact, I use the spatula and also the knife, especially when I'm using the modeling paste. So I use a lot the modeling paste, by the way, in this one as well.
Hmm.
I like very much the texture, and in fact, the painting takes several days. So I paint in the first day, and then I leave it to dry, and then I feel the texture. It's like talking to someone really. And then I add another layer, and they change and add more paste in a way. So this one, and by the way, in all my paintings, the angle of the light changes really the view of the painting.
Yeah.
So even this one, I have different photos from different angles. It gives you a different impression with the light. So yeah.
Yeah, it would pick up the textures that you put on the on
Yes.
the on the on the from your palette onto there. Yeah. No, it I feel yeah, it's quite an exercise to work in reverse of this, like paint the background color and leave the white, and it's
Yeah.
it's part of it is there's a very sharp edge line to it. It's very hard edged. Like you said, it's very striking.
Yeah,
It's a strong, defined piece. I think it's hard for a lot of people to do that, as they like soft edges. They don't work that way. But in abstract, I think um, I guess you're an abstract expressionist painter, as many people are, that do abstract works. But there's always that searching for the new. What is the new in me, right? Where? Because you can't just produce the same piece over and over again.
no,
It near impossible anyway. But as we go through, you'll see, your style kind of changes a little bit as we work along here. Um, Now, this one, I mean, I look at a lot of things, and I'm trying to figure out where am I in this piece, and it there feels like this quagmire of, um, I guess, imagery. I guess it's almost like um, and I love it. I like the addition of the red. The red offers a little bit of different depth to the piece of work. Black and white was just very. It's on the surface a little bit. Now
yeah,
the red pushes back a little because it's closer in value to the black, and I
yeah.
feel like I'm going through a quagmire of brambles and bushes. So, is it important that people find their own what they like in your work? Is that
Exactly. Yeah. So, in fact, the good thing about that, that's why in all my listings, I don't put any explanation or any wording to the painting. Why? Because I had several exhibitions before, and it's very interesting to see what people are thinking and what they are seeing different than my eyes. So it's like seeing my painting with different eyes and different opinions and how they perceive it. At the end of the day, for me, it's an expression of my feelings, but it's also a perception, and everyone has his own perception. Like, I mean, we are all different. Everyone has a different opinion, different eye, different point of view on everything, which is this is the human life. And it's very interesting to see how people are perceiving the painting and how they feel about it, how sometimes it's talking to them. There is a strong feeling or strong impression they are getting from the painting, which is amazing for me.
yeah? I think that's the strength of abstract work. The diversity of people that can find something different in it. And then, like you said, sometimes the light will change it, and it'll change the idea. What you thought you saw initially, you'll come back and you say, "Oh, look at the lights on it," and it looks different. And uh, I guess that's what I like about paintings. They When you get up in the morning, that painting gives something back to you every morning you get up. It's value in a piece of work that's on your wall, and I really appreciate that, because you look at it and you say it's not like watching TV. It's or a piece of pottery or something like that or sculpture that you may own. But a painting can evoke those feelings. There's a reason why you purchased a piece of work. And you look at that before you go to work every morning. You go, gosh, yeah, I feel good. Or before you work around your house or something, you just look up and there it is. But in the evening, it changes in the light in your home or your business, right? So, yeah, here. This is very, very more emotional, moving piece than your previous ones. Previous ones have a texture kind of all over the page,
Yeah,
feeling to them. This one is creating a different energy, and I
yeah.
guess I'll call it that. There's a swooshing feeling, the movement. I guess is that searched in your work? Is trying to figure out a bit of a movement in your work, like the physical moving of your brush going over that canvas, for instance?
Yeah. So in fact, I'm always looking to have a movement feeling into my painting, but it's also, especially this one, and there is other theories similar to this. Of course, that no one is similar to the other, but I mean the whole series for me, it's about space, the movement in space, I would say. So it's well, I mean, when I do a painting like this and then I add layers and I change and then I modify and so on, I stay a while looking at it for hours, just putting it and looking from different sides and so on. So expressing the movement in space. And I mean, uh, life is all based on movement, on energy and frequency, going to my background. So it's a kind of moving world, moving life painting. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like? I guess your influences. Are you influenced by like I guess what's around you, like in your life, or is it a walk in the woods, or is it a like where do you feel that those things change how you feel about things when you look at your canvas when you go there that day?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I, I I love looking at the nature, especially the space and the sky and so on, and the moon and so on. For me, I mean, it's a kind of a meditation, and looking at things are always giving me ideas and changing how I'm thinking. But by the way, it's never planned. So this painting, I mean, it at the end, we are accumulating everything in our brains, in the storage in our brains, and then expressing this on a canvas and so on. It comes automatically without any planning. And ending, especially this one, it took me a long time to end it. And for me, ending, it's like when you have a meal and suddenly you feel that you are full, you cannot eat anymore. For me, it's like that's it. For me, this is the painting. I will not touch it anymore because we can add all the time, but that's the end for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cyclic in that it just keeps on going until you have to stop at some point
Yeah,
when it feels like it's right. No, and I like that idea where I think all of us gather information
yeah,
and how your brain sorts it and puts it into sections of things you like, things you didn't like, but you tend to get ideas if you're in painting by going in a regular way. So in other words, you like to go for a walk every day. You're influenced by what is around you that day on your walk. If you listen to the news, you might get audio information, that music. So do you listen to music at all when you paint as well, or
yeah. It's for me, it's something that should be there.
yeah,
Just but not I don't like loud music, just classical music or just quiet songs or music, but something light, not very I
aggressive?
mean
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it relaxes me, it makes me continue to paint and so on, it gives me the mood. Yeah,
yeah. I think a lot of artists like to have things in the background. Whether some people listen to um, talk shows and different
yeah,
things about what they're doing, and some like to listen to music. There's another one here. Um, this one feels very. I've seen pieces like this. This is more complicated than the previous one
yeah,
in its textures and rhythms. I guess I'll look at it. I'll even call it the rhythms. That it's almost like rippled paper, right? Crumpled up paper, and then painted. So it has this. It's like I said. It's complicated. The palette is more complicated as well. And and I think of these last pieces, I really like this piece. It just has there's a bounce of light. Maybe that's what it is, and it feels like I'm on a. The
mm,
textures are just very textural. It's not as linear, I
yeah,
guess, in a structure, and just that little bit of blue now is really adding a different feeling, that cooler feeling. Like it feels like a cooler. This might have been done in the wintertime, right? This is what I'm saying. Like where do ideas come from? And that probably is as interesting, I guess, personally to me as anything else. But can you tell us a little bit about the connection you had with this piece when you were producing it, if you can remember that?
yeah. In fact, this one, in fact, for me, it's the mix. It's having the black, the white, and the dark blue together. This mix for me is it's so, by the way, even in other paintings, this mix is very sacred for me. I don't know why. I mean, this mix of having the blue with the black and the white and mixing them and lightening the black and lightening the blue with the white and so on, it's very moving internally for me. This one I used the knife just with the modeling paste as well, with acrylic of course. But I mean, having this mix and moving it with the knife slowly, very strange. I remember this one. I started, and I mean, it didn't take long for me to decide that that's it. No, really, this one. So I suddenly I looked at this. I said, "Wow!" And then I leave it for a day or two just to make sure that I'm fine with it. That was it for me.
Yeah. No, and I think get that feeling that it's complete, that you don't need to do anything more. And I don't know why that is. You just feel that no,
Yeah,
that's a finished piece. And I think uh, that is a sense of confidence when a person sees your work to say that's a finished idea. And what you see of it is whatever you want. I mean, it's beautiful. It could be an aerial shot of the mountains, and it could be a lot of things. And I think that's what evokes energy in a business or a home that has a piece of work that they can enjoy each time in a different way, right?
yeah,
And yeah, no, it's a gorgeous piece. This one's very different from your other pieces.
yeah.
Yeah, this is I you know. Can you tell us the journey you're on when you did this one? Because your mind was at a different spot when you did this one compared to your other ones.
So
Um,
yeah, this one, in fact, it started with the modeling paste alone as a layer. So these in the middle ones are modeling paste, and then with the knife adding strikes on it. And then I had the feeling that because it was a white canvas, is maybe to give it a black background. So I painted all black again, and then repeated the layer of the modeling paste again, having the stripes and adding black in the middle. It's I don't know. It's for me. It's really very touching looking at this and having these shapes and so on. For me, it's the life contrast again. I mean, I don't know what do you see in it.
I see nature,
Yeah,
but I see probably more winter time where the branches are stripped of leaves. There's a feeling of snow, um, branches on the ground or the background. This one has nice depth to it. You have the textures in behind. So I feel nature, but it's sort of like a resting period for nature, like the regrowths. They're getting ready for it's sleeping a little bit, but they're almost figurative as well. Like there's these dancing figures that
yeah,
are there. So like already I have two different ways of looking at this piece and saying that's what I like in a piece. It's not just one static image of a tree and the background. This one
yeah,
has, and I guess maybe those are influenced by maybe what my journey is like, what the
mm,
way I go about my life, and what do I see in what you're doing, and trying to understand how how you feel about things. And I mean, you've been to Canada now for how many years have you been in Canada?
yeah. 15 years, almost 15 years.
15 years. So
Yeah,
uh, there was a shock of snow and weather and things when you arrived, and I can relate to that, to some other people that I've talked with, to say, yeah, I get the big coat out and you're
yeah,
understanding that you've just stepped into a deep freeze. I mean, everything you look around.
yeah.
But I think it's understanding that, do you feel that um, moving into a different location physically has changed some of it? Maybe it's the light or the energy that's around you.
Uh, no, not really. I mean, it didn't change me, but of course, there is for sure changing location and so on has its own influence on how we see things and how we perceive things. But also at the same time, it's a very nice exposure. So going because before Canada, I used to go to different countries around the world for the before Canada, 20 years before. I was not only in Egypt, so I'm Egyptian from Egypt, but I was around the world in Asia, Southeast Asia, and so on, and North Africa, and so on. This kind of exposure is enriching. In fact, it's adding values to our personalities and how we see things and how we deal with cultures, different cultures, and different um, habits and hobbies even. So it's, yeah, I mean, of course there is a kind of a change and influence of change. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think. I mean, that's a really good thing because that I think that's embedded in your memory.
Yeah.
Those responses to those other countries you've traveled to and worked in and been a part of, and I think you're never supposed to leave those. Those are always a part of you, and I think that's probably is part of the development of what you are. I mean, and how you think and how you paint and the responses that you get are. I think it's really nice that other people can see how you respond to what's around you now, based on your history, like what you've lived through in your all your other past years. So this is a really nice dancing piece, and I kind of like that. This is in the dark version of the two previous ones that you
Yeah.
the light blue. Where can you tell us a little bit about the energy in this piece?
So this one is in fact again the mix and the contrast and so on, but it has more of the gray, which is a mix of the blue with the white and the black to give us this level of gray. For me, it's like it's a piece of the nature. I don't know what exactly, but having this. So in this one, I use also modeling paste and acrylic, but I use the brush in a way to have a thicker layer of acrylic on the painting.
Yeah,
So just moving it around and having it a dense acrylic in different directions. I really loved the feeling of it because, of course, we don't see the from the side. When you look at the side, you feel that texture, and when you touch it, even with your hand, you will feel how it is. It's really up and down and so on with the mixture of acrylic and the paste. It's yeah, it's I don't know. It's especially this one. It has a very strong impression. I don't know why.
well, it's nice that it even leaves you a question as to I don't know why. Because I think if you can, the artist has to keep coming back to it. You
Yeah.
keep looking and seeing what do I see in it. Do you have that favorite chair you sit in when you look at your work? You sit at it.
Yeah, so I have a location where I put the painting and I keep looking at it and going back and forth. But in fact, my point is not to know what it is. Honestly, I know
Yeah,
it's an expression of my feelings, but the point for me is to get to conclude that that's it, or still I need to have some work to do.
yeah,
I mean, but I never thought what does it look like? Is it what a mountain? Because I know that I'm not painting anything that is in nature and so on. I don't like to imitate. I like to create. So for me, it's all coming from my brain, from my background, just creating.
yeah. I think what people see in it is what they see in it. I mean, if they see things, that's not necessarily what was intended. But I think this kind of free form abstraction that you're doing is just response abstraction. You're responding to your feelings, moment, whatever it is. And the I think color probably has as much to do with it as anything. You know, the how you respond with texture, but the color feelings that are there. You tend to work quite a bit with a dark palette on the dark background and bring light into that, whether it be linear or in shapes. But no, it
Yeah.
feels very very feather like. It has a layering feather feel to it. There's just a that's just something that I see. Or leaves. There's a stacking up of feeling in this one, and I don't know anything more about it than that, other than that kind of a feeling. But
Yeah.
you know, this one again is uh, it feels very Jackson Pollock to me, in a way. You know, there's this. You don't do drip paintings, I don't imagine at all, but no, but I'm just saying it's that scratchy surface that is. This is a lovely piece, and part of it is just those beautiful grays, and I we don't know what those white shapes are, but there is a really nice feeling in those. I don't know what it is. It could be feel very floral. It could feel a lot of different things, but there's a nice energy in this piece. Um, it feels like an etching almost. You know, when I look at it, you know,
Yeah.
it just when I'm looking at it two dimensionally like this on the screen. But can you tell us about the effects that this one is
Yeah.
different than previous ones? Like very monochromatic because you're white and black only in this one, I think,
Yeah.
which goes to gray as well. But
Yeah, in fact, this one it's mostly the modeling paste,
hmm,
that the heavy modeling paste that I'm using with the strikes of the knife on the modeling paste, making this. So if you look on from the side, you'll see a very high level of texture.
right.
It's like I mean, you will feel it all over this paint, especially this painting. It's really very strong in terms of boldness of expression, especially touching it. So, by the way, even in my one of the exhibitions, I asked people to put their hands on the painting to feel the texture, because it will give you an impression. This one is there is a lot of texture and very I don't know. It gives you a very strong feeling when you touch it, and the mix of the white and the black and the gray together is this one took me a long time, honestly, to finish it. I had several layers of different ideas and so on, and then it came at the end. Once I reached this, I felt that that's it for me.
Yeah. Do you find that some of your I always go through some of people I talk about how one painting responds to the other one you previously did somewhere down the road. So it's like there's a journey of your painting. So if you put them up,
Yes.
can you can you talk to that a little bit? How one piece of work might influence one of your other pieces?
Yeah, you know that this is I never thought about this really, Paul, but it's bringing me to me an idea that, yeah, I feel that there is a sequence in the paintings one after the other. It's like a series. It's like an evolution of my own brain, how I see things and how I perceive things. Like I feel we are so I am changing with every painting, and I having a different feeling with every painting, which give me it's giving me the next step for me. And it's I feel, yeah, it's a kind of evolution, I would say,
Yeah.
from one step to another, colors to different ones. But by the way, I go back to color, to having more colors than this one. But it's a kind of maturity. I'm maturing towards, I mean, generally the painting, we are looking for perfection. I'm trying to perfection whatever I have in my mind. And this is an evolution.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have abstract artists that you look at regularly that you might respond to?
So you mentioned Jackson Pollock. This is one, and The French artist that I really admire is Pierre Soulages. Do you know Pierre Soulages?
I do not, but I will look it up.
He is really, I mean, he is known with his pure black paintings with blunt and bold strikes, and having the big contrast. I mean, yeah, you have to look at Pierre Soulages. I will send it to you so you have
I
a
do
look at
that.
it.
I'd like to look at that. Well, there are so many abstract painters out there, and American abstract painters. Some are just amazing stuff that, you know, have Motherwell and such that have done some fantastic pieces. That
Yeah,
and in Canada as well, we've got a number of artists that have. I mean, getting on the international stage of abstraction is very difficult.
yeah,
There are a lot of people painting in abstract form. But here we go to this one here. So these ones, I don't did tell me I got ideas about this one, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to have to sit
that's
here and listen to you, what you're going to tell me about what's going on here.
yeah. When
In your
I,
mind,
yeah, this one, in fact, it's for me. It's frequency. It's the frequency that we have in life. So everything we have in life, you see that something is solid, it's not moving, but we know that there is a neutron, and I mean there is a movement inside, but we don't see it. So
yeah.
everything in life is energy, and it's frequency. It's moving around us, even our cells, everything. For me, I don't know. I had the feeling to reflect a little bit on the frequency. So you see, it's like it's moving. So when I look at it and put it in front of me, I feel that there is a circling. It's moving. It's continuously moving.
Yeah, there's a vortex in this one somewhere, and it's just there's this it's feeling like I'm spinning without being dizzy, but it's
Yeah,
kind of it in the layers. There's an energy of multiplicity that's happening. A lot of things are. It's like a dust storm. There's a lot of things flying around at the same time,
yeah,
and it came. I see this comes a little bit from your blue and black series, which were strong circular forms that were created in here. But I like the yellow energy and the warm whites and that, and it's just again on a black background, so it holds the page nicely. It fills those little spots in between the yellow and the black that really offer the contrast that you need to give this energy to.
yeah.
Um, but you're kind of going towards that light, that feeling of that. They almost feel like also little pin feathers, this very,
Yes.
very bird-like for
Yeah,
some.
yeah, yeah.
And I love, and that's just a personal look at it. And I say, it's not a bad thing to see other things in work. I
Of
think
course.
you
Yeah.
finding those energies to do that, and it's definitely not a Jackson Pollock, and
Yeah.
it's different than your previous pieces in a way, but it's got a really nice energy to it. Let me go to this one. Yeah, this to me, this one feels like the city at night.
Yeah.
At This is the lights, the bright, the building. This is very architecturally structured. This piece, and that's a how those lights come towards you at night when you're walking on a street and the car lights are coming towards you, and the city lights in New York or Montreal in the background, or Toronto.
Yeah.
And I see all kinds of buses and all kinds of things that are going on. I love energy pieces that give me that open my eyes to other ways of looking at the same thing that I might think it is. Can
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the influences on this piece? Like, this is different than your previous ones that you've shown.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. In fact, this one is again the contrast, especially it's not only the black and the white and the blue, especially the yellowish background that it is in the background. This is really the kind of different light behind. It's like having a spotlight behind the painting that is glowing the yellow pieces into the painting.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, this one really, and it's very textured as well, by the way. So it's really, you will feel how it is and how the texture is. And looking at it, I don't know, it's kind of as you mentioned, maybe it's at night in the street and you see buses and houses and so on. For me, it's very relieving. I
Yeah.
mean, relieving. I mean, I really feel very much looking at it, just looking at it, feeling quietness. It's like the rain at night in a
Yeah.
winter night, something like that. You know, it's
Yeah.
very relaxing, I would say.
Yeah. No, it's got a, again, it's a very nice mood painting. Yeah.
Yeah,
And here's another one that's, again, I can see influences from your previous works into these ones, which is really nice to see. I mean, there's an evolution, and this is, you
yeah,
know, this is just another, again, on a darker, strong background. It's got a, but more this, I don't know, squiggle lines, and they just, there's an energy in them again. A different kind of energy. It's actually probably more of a freer form energy than the previous piece, which were palleted squares that were probably put on with a knife, where these
yeah,
ones are, kind of like freer form pieces that are going on. But yeah, we just we're going to get through all of our shots here. I
yeah.
think, yeah, it's in here. This one has a really the first time I've seen a circle in your work, um, it is very spatial feeling. It actually feels architectural. It's I guess it's that grid work of almost like high-rise buildings being built, or there's the structures of city that are maybe in the works, and then there's a circle. I just It's this vortex, that you're going through. But can you speak to this piece? Why it is so different than your other ones? Like,
Yeah, in fact, I have other pieces not on this show, but I mean with circles and so on. It's a kind of uh, so it's a movement in the space. For me, it's like looking at the space and you have this movement. You see, even the circle is not very clear. It's hidden because it's moving behind all of these strokes. So it's a kind of it's giving you the feeling of the movement. Something is moving,
yeah,
and it's spinning. In fact, it's not really moving only, it's spinning, and it's going around and so on. It's I like to have the feeling of the moving uh, uh, parts in the painting, and this is one of them.
yeah. No, it's a nice, it's a difficult thing to do, is to put. This one works. I'm just saying, all of a sudden you have one circle that's dominant in a piece. Your eye goes right to it right away, which
Yeah,
is what the artist usually wants. They're controlling the eye of the viewer in a little bit, in the way to say, look at my work this way. Go here, go here, go here, go
yeah,
here, and then come back and look in a different spot. Yours, I want to keep on going back, back, back in the layers, in behind it, almost even behind the circle, because you can see the textures through the circle as well. So it's not just a hole going through your piece of work. It's part of the piece of work. So
yeah,
it's obscured. Almost feels like some pieces are going in front of it as well. I mean, that's how I'm feeling about it. But people will feel differently about thing as well. This one's
yeah,
similar to one of the ones we started in the beginning on
yeah,
one of your opening pieces. Um, so we are in this one exploring, I guess, rectangles and squares. The color palette is very a warm palette. I gave you, even with the black, it's kind of a warm with the orange.
yeah.
But can you can you tell us where your thinking was on this one? Where you're
Yeah.
It's more structured thinking. I sense in this day of um, sorting your thoughts out in a day. It almost like writing notes to yourself that I have to get this done, and this done in my day. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm correct in that, but I'm just saying this one is more structured than your previous free form ones. That's all I can really say about it. Is am I correct in that in a little bit?
Yeah, in fact, I have also other paintings similar to this with there is a structure. But the point that I'm declaring here in this painting, of course, it's squares and very aligned, but they are not even. I mean, even the lines, I made it on purpose that it's not really straight. It's not with a ruler and you are using like making it sure 90 degrees on each corner. In fact, it's reflecting the the imperfection life we are in, the imperfection of our personalities and our feelings. So nothing is really straight and square as per the rule or as per the ruler for the 90 degrees. Everything is different, and this is the beauty of life, that nothing is straightforward and nothing is uh, uh, aligned to 100% degrees and so on. No, it's
Yeah, and
yeah,
they're stackable, but they have imperfections in them. It's not a
yes,
Mondrian. It's not a Mondrian type
yeah,
abstraction,
yeah,
but it's kind of a free form stacking. And I like that analogy that it is part of our life, how we see our lives
yeah,
a little bit, because I think again we want to find ourselves in our work. I think a lot of times a painting is a mirror. When you look at the that painting of some, you want to see something of yourself in there, or a place
yeah,
to go, or a place to think about something or respond to. There's a reason why you buy a piece of art,
yes,
and part of it is, or you want to be a part of a piece of art that's there and say that's me, that's that's my that's my feeling, that's what how I feel today. And then we encourage them to people to buy more pieces. Let everybody know that Tamer is going to be having a show coming up here next week, March 16 to 31 on Artists in Canada. He's at his solo show. We got 20 pieces. These are a few pieces from the show. There are more works that people can come and look at. Um, this is an amazing piece of work, and I love the energy in this piece. And can you give us a kind of a last little synopsis of this before we have to check out here and see what else is going on? But
yeah. In fact, this one is a reflection of the frequency and the movement. There is movement in it. It's also moving. But the point is, I had split it into two pieces, the lower piece with the yellow and the upper with the black and the red, which is giving a nice contrast.
yeah,
Some people saw this and they were telling me it's like a fox eating something, or having like a bird or something underneath and attacking from the above. I
oh yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I think what I somewhat like about this piece is that there is a shape of the red blacks on the top and the yellow blacks on the bottom. So these are becoming more, you've created more of a plane
yeah,
of two sections but they're blended together. But
yeah,
it's got a warm dominant bottom, yellow bottom, and a red black on the top. And so there's this interaction between the two that
yeah,
are giving a different energy. And maybe if some people are saying they can see all kinds of things in that, but it's an energized piece. And I
yeah.
think it's we know whether you see, I don't think I see, is it evil, is it is like you said, is one, is it, are the birds of prey, or is it, no, it's not, it's whatever you want it to be. But
Yeah.
can your work be hung sideways? Like, if are you upset if somebody says, I like this one horizontal more than vertical? Does that bother you at all?
No, not at all. I mean, all my paintings can be in any direction.
Yeah.
It depends on how you feel it and how you see it as well. So yeah,
Yeah. No, it's no. Here he is.
I know the killjoy is here. Sorry, guys. No, your work is absolutely gorgeous. I was looking at your site, so
Thank you.
and I liked it. But for the fans that aren't on your site right now, what is an original piece go for? From what to what? What's your price range?
So it all depends on the dimensions, but generally,
Mhm.
especially in this show, it would be around, of course, in Canadian dollars, between 700 and 1200, $1,300.
Okay.
So it
So
depends, even though they are the same size, but the time spent on the painting and
right.
the energy and so on in it. So that's why it's different.
No. And
Yeah.
just I like that. We always like to ask because this way, because the show goes out globally, right? So if somebody sees it, they can go. So if you're in the EU, 700 Canadian, basically you're just paying for shipping. And if you're in the United States, it's like $4.50. But now because of the
Ooh.
tariff, it's like $50. So there you go. So it's all good. So unless you guys become our 51st state, apparently, and then it's
Oh,
free. So there you go. I'm just kidding. Relax. So anyway, your stuff is absolutely gorgeous.
thank you.
We will put the link below, everybody, so you can find his stuff. And then Paul will have the show on Canadian art, so
There
you
you
can
go.
go and you can go there. And if you want to purchase it there, and for some reason, if you can't figure either of that out, email us at the show, and we will send you all the links,
Well,
and we will go from there.
yeah. And again, Tamer's show starts on the 16th of March through till the 31st, and it's right on our homepage on Artists in Canada, and
There you go.
it'll go live then. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun. It'll be
There you go.
it'll be a great little show. And I mean, it's a nice online show, and everything's there. So perfect. It was great talking
Gentlemen,
with you. Thank
yeah, it
you.
was a pleasure. Thank you so much for the interview. Paul, always good to see you. Everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Thursday with some other Canadian artist.
There will be.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.